After helping them with yard work all day, my daughter-in-law handed me my old jacket and said, "You're done here. Don't expect thanks." My son just watched her close the door as I stood there in the dark, my breath cold in the night air. I'm 67, lived in Springfield, Missouri, my whole life. I worked hard for everything I have, ran HVAC for 40 years, paid off my house, put my only kid through college. After my wife, Marla, passed from ovarian cancer, I didn't think I'd have much left to live for. But I figured I still had my boy, Danny. That's what kept me going. At least I thought so. Danny's 34 now, works in IT, grew up solid. He was never the loud type, but he always had a strong heart. When his mom was sick, he took the night shifts at the hospital with me, slept in the damn chair while holding her hand. That's the kind of son I had. Then he met Vanessa. She came into the picture about 2.5 years ago. A real polished woman, always wearing designer everything, always talking about some project launch or influencer outreach, like she was running the world. First time I met her, she shook my hand like she didn't want to touch me. I should have seen the writing on the wall then. They got married in a vineyard in Arkansas. I wasn't asked to walk Danny down the aisle. I was told to sit in the second row, not even up front. They said it was because Vanessa's parents paid more. That stung, but I swallowed it. After the wedding, things changed fast. Danny stopped calling just to check in. When he did call, it was always because they needed something. Dog sitting, moving boxes, fixing a busted sink. Never a, "Hey Dad, want to grab a bite?" I told myself I didn't mind. I wanted to stay in his life. Then last week, I get this short text from Danny. "Vanessa wants to redo the backyard. Need help Saturday. You around?" "No, please. No, can you?" Just a command like I was some hired hand. Still, I said yes. I'm retired. I thought, maybe we'll have a good day working together. Saturday morning, I loaded up my tools, head shears, rake, gloves, the whole set. Got to their house in Nixa by 8:15. Brand new house, fancy porch lights, little corgi barking in the window. I stood there with my arms full, waiting at the door. Vanessa answered in yoga pants, sipping from a green juice bottle, with her phone in one hand. She looked at me like I'd tracked mud into a museum. "Oh, you're early," she said. Didn't invite me in. Didn't say hi. I waited on the porch another 5 minutes before Danny came out, already dressed for golf. He was grinning, holding his clubs. "Hey Dad," he said, like we were bumping into each other by accident. "Really appreciate you doing this. I've got a tea time at 9. Vanessa'll show you what she wants." And just like that, he was gone. Got in his shiny black SUV and pulled out of the driveway without even asking if I wanted a coffee or breakfast. Vanessa pointed at the backyard through the glass door. I want all the mulch spread, sod laid down, ivy pulled from the siding, and hedges trimmed. Trim them evenly, not too round. Then she closed the door. Didn't even ask if I needed water. So I got to work. The sun beat down hard by noon. My shirt was soaked through. I tried to pace myself, but I hadn't worked like that in years. I'm not ashamed to say I had to sit down a few times just to stretch out my back. Still, I kept at it. By 6:15, I had done everything she asked. The mulch was clean and even. The sod was in place, and the ivy was gone, roots and all. My hands were raw. My knees felt like they were going to explode. I looked around, wiped my face, and felt that small bit of pride in a job done right. I knocked on the back door. She opened it barely 2 inches, holding the dog. "You missed a patch by the spigot," she said. I told her I couldn't bend anymore, and I'd come back Monday to finish. She stared at me for a second, like she was thinking whether I was worth the breath. Then she reached behind the door, grabbed my old jacket, the same one I'd left there back in February when I helped assemble their patio furniture, and shoved it toward me. "Here," she said. "You're done here. Don't expect thanks." Then she closed the door. No offer of food. No thank you. No tip. Not even a bottle of water. I stood there for a few seconds. It was quiet. The porch light clicked on. I looked through the front window and saw Danny inside, standing near the couch, beer in hand. He'd been watching. He didn't move. Didn't come out. Just looked at me like I was a stranger begging at his door. I didn't say anything. I didn't knock again. I walked to my truck, slid on my old jacket, and started the engine. My breath fogged the windshield. The cold air cut through the thin sleeves. I hadn't felt that kind of cold in a long time. It wasn't about the yard work or the missed thank you. It was the way they looked at me, like I was nothing. And that's when something inside me hardened. like concrete. I wasn't going to let this go. I wasn't going to be the guy they call when they want free labor. I wasn't going to sit there waiting for crumbs of affection from people who think they're better than me. They didn't know it yet. But they just started something they wouldn't be able to stop. The next morning, I didn't go to the graveyard like I usually do on Sundays. I couldn't. I was still angry, and it didn't feel right to bring that kind of energy to Marla's headstone. Instead, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at my coffee, thinking about what happened. I kept seeing Danny through the window, holding that beer, watching me walk off like I was the damn gardener. Like I was a burden. I raised that boy. I gave him everything. And now I was just someone to be tolerated. At 10:12 a.m., I got a text. Thanks again for yesterday. Looks really good. Vanessa said we might need help putting in a fire pit next weekend. You free? I didn't respond. 2 hours later, he sent another. Vanessa says if the HOA likes the changes, we'll probably get a yard of the month sign. You'll get to say you helped build that. That's when it clicked. This wasn't just ungratefulness. This was how they saw me now, a tool. A piece of equipment. Something to be used and put away when they were done. I didn't reply. I went outside, took a walk, and tried to clear my head. That night, I pulled out an old notebook and started writing down every single thing I'd helped them with over the past year. Drove their dogs to the groomer. Twice picked up Vanessa from the airport when Danny got caught up at work, spent 3 hours in July assembling their patio furniture, replaced 3 light switches when their electrician flaked, cleaned out their garage with Danny. Even paid for the dump run myself, and now this yard job. Easily $500 worth of work if a company had done it. Probably more. All of it for free. Monday morning, I got up early. Went to the hardware store and bought a cheap camera doorbell. Then I called up a guy I used to work with, Glenn. He runs a handyman business now. Asked if he needed help part-time. By Thursday, I had a plan. And it started with distance. I didn't answer Danny's calls. I didn't reply to texts. I figured if they wanted me around, they could show some damn respect first. But instead of apologizing or stopping by, Vanessa posted a passive-aggressive message on Facebook, just a reminder that family isn't free labor. If you want to say no, then just say it. We'll be fine. I didn't comment, but I saved a screenshot. Then something else happened. I got a call from Marla's sister, Doris. She said she ran into Vanessa at the store and congratulated her on the beautiful backyard. Vanessa smiled and said, "Yeah, we had to bring in someone cheap to do it. Danny's dad is retired and doesn't mind getting his hands dirty. We just give him busy work so he feels useful." I felt my stomach turn. My hands actually started to shake. Cheap help. Busy work. That's what I was to them. It wasn't enough that they used me. They were laughing about it behind my back. I knew then this wasn't going to be solved with a conversation. This needed to hurt. So I started planning. I stopped doing anything for them. When Vanessa texted asking about the fire pit, I left it on read. When Danny called about borrowing my truck, I sent it to voicemail. They started leaving messages. "Hey Dad, not sure what's going on. Can you just let us know if you're okay? Vanessa's wondering if you're mad. We didn't mean anything by it." I stayed quiet. Let them squirm. Then I reached out to Glenn and asked if he could go over to their place and offer a yard maintenance contract. I told him to be polite, but to quote them a premium price. No more freebies. He went over that Saturday, told me Vanessa opened the door, looked confused, and said, "Why would we need to pay for this? Danny's dad does it." Glenn smiled and said, "Not anymore." The look on her face, he said, was worth the trip. That was just the start. I wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. A few days after Glenn's visit, Danny showed up at my house. I was out front, changing the oil in my truck. I heard the car before I saw it. His black SUV rumbling up my driveway like nothing was wrong. He got out, didn't even say hi, just walked up and said, "Why are you doing this?" I stayed quiet, wiped my hands on a rag, and looked at him. He shook his head like I was the one being unreasonable. "You're really going to cut us off because of a misunderstanding?" I didn't answer right away. I wanted him to feel the silence. Finally, I said, "No misunderstanding. I heard what Vanessa said to Doris." His face dropped. A flash of guilt crossed it, but just as fast, he covered it with annoyance. "She was joking, Dad. Don't take everything so personally. She called me cheap help." I said the work keeps me feeling useful. "That a joke to you?" He looked down, like a kid caught stealing. Then he said, "Okay, maybe it was wrong. But come on, Dad. You know she says stuff without thinking sometimes. And you let her, I said. Every time. That hit him. His jaw clenched. He looked around like he wanted to escape the conversation. Then he tried changing the subject. We're having a cookout next weekend. Come by. Let's just move past this. Who's cooking? I asked. Vanessa's ordering catering. You don't have to bring anything. I stared at him for a second, then said, good. Because I'm not coming. His eyes went cold. Seriously? Dead serious, I said. He stood there, probably expecting me to give in. But I didn't. He left 5 minutes later without another word. And that's when I started phase 2. See, I'd been around long enough to know some things they never even thought about. When they bought that fancy house, they made the mistake of listing me as an emergency contact. I still had access to their HOA website and neighborhood board. I logged in one night and found something interesting. That ivy I removed from their siding? It was a protected plant under the HOA's landscaping guidelines. It had to be trimmed, not ripped. And Vanessa had told me to rip it. So I submitted a photo once she posted herself on Instagram and asked the board if the removal violated code. I used a fake name and a new email, just enough to get the ball rolling. The next week, they got a formal notice in the mail. Fine pending for unauthorized landscape alteration. $200. That same weekend, Glenn told me he'd seen Vanessa outside trying to plant new ivy. Looked like she was Googling fastest growing vines for Missouri. I laughed so hard I nearly cried. But here's the twist no one saw coming. A month earlier, before all this blew up, Danny had asked me to co-sign on a personal loan. Something about expanding his home office, new computer, new ergonomic desk. I never gave him an answer. Just said I'd think about it. Now I knew why he was in such a rush to move past things. The loan got denied. He showed up again the following Sunday. Vanessa stayed in the car this time. I could see her through the windshield, arms crossed. Danny walked up, more tired this time. No anger, just worn down. I get it now, he said. You're trying to teach us a lesson. I didn't say anything. He took a deep breath. We messed up. I raised an eyebrow. We? He looked me dead in the eye. Okay, I messed up. I let Vanessa treat you like a servant. I didn't stop it. I let her talk down to you because it was easier than fighting with her. I let you get used. And I'm sorry. It was the first real thing he'd said in months. I wanted to believe him. But then he added, so about the loan. And just like that, whatever crack of light had started to open slammed shut. I didn't even respond. Just walked back inside and locked the door behind me. He stood on my porch for 10 minutes before finally walking back to the car. And as they drove off, I saw Vanessa throw her hands up like I was the unreasonable one. That's when I knew something else had to be done. Something bigger. Something lasting. I wasn't just going to ignore them. I was going to make sure they remembered what they did. I didn't sleep much after that last visit. Not because I was hurt. By then, I'd burned past hurt. I was focused. Cold. Every part of me was working toward the same thought. They weren't going to get away with using me like I was a disposable wrench in their toolbox. They needed to feel it. Deep. Not just a little discomfort. I wanted them to look back at all of this and realize it was the exact moment everything started to fall apart. And I had the way. I waited a few weeks. Let them think the dust was settling. No calls, no messages. I saw on Facebook that Vanessa and Danny were bragging about getting a deal on a local landscaping company to redo what my father-in-law botched. Funny thing was, they didn't realize the company they hired had just bought equipment from Glenn. I gave him a heads up. So when the landscaping crew arrived and saw that backyard full of hard-packed sod I laid myself, they immediately jacked up the price. Vanessa, being proud, still agreed. Another $3,800 down the drain. But that wasn't the real revenge. Danny had another secret, one I didn't even know about at first. Back when I helped him set up his home Wi-Fi last year, I installed the router and, out of habit, set myself up as admin in case he ever locked himself out. I forgot all about it. Until one night I remembered. Logged in. What I found was gold. Every device that had ever been connected to their network, Vanessa's phone, Danny's laptop, even their nanny cam in the guest room. And one folder stood out. PR folder. Personal. Curiosity got the better of me. I downloaded it. Inside were screenshots, email drafts, and notes from Vanessa's job. And something real interesting. She had taken work from her previous company, marketing materials, ad strategies, even client contacts, and was using them to land her new clients. Basically stealing intellectual property. Now listen, I'm not a lawyer, but But I worked long enough in the real world to know what that kind of theft means. So I printed it all. Every screenshot. Every file. I dropped it into an envelope and mailed it, anonymously, to her former employer, a firm based in Denver. I also mailed a copy to her current boss, along with a note that said, "You should know who you're hiring." Within 2 weeks, her profile disappeared from the company website. Danny posted a vague message on Facebook. "Sometimes things fall apart so better things can fall together. We're going through a transition, but we're staying positive." They were bleeding money now. No job for Vanessa. Loan denied. Landscaping company charging extra because they had to undo subpar work. HOA fines. And from what Glenn told me, the contractor they hired to fix their patio ended up quitting after Vanessa refused to stop managing him on the job. But the worst blow? It came from my will. I had an estate lawyer. Simple will. House paid off. Decent savings. Nothing massive, but enough to make life comfortable for whoever I left it to. Danny was the sole heir. Had been since the day Marla passed. I made an appointment, sat down with my lawyer, and changed everything. Instead of Danny, I made Marla's sister Doris the heir. She's in her late 70s, never married, and always treated me like a real brother. I added a clause that, upon her passing, everything goes to the animal shelter where Marla used to volunteer. I also wrote a letter to be read to Danny upon my death. It said, "You were my only son, but you made a choice. You stood there and watched your wife talk to me like trash. You left me outside like I was nothing. And you treated my love like it came with a price tag. I didn't raise you for that. You could have had everything. Instead, you chose her over your own blood. Now you'll have to live with what that cost you." A few weeks after Vanessa lost her job, Danny came by again. This time he didn't knock. He stood in the yard while I sat on the porch. "I know you're still mad," he said, "but we're in trouble. Things got rough." I nodded. Let him talk. "We're behind on mortgage payments. Vanessa's looking for work, but it's been hard. I shouldn't have let her talk to you like that. I should have stood up for you. I just wanted to keep peace in the house. I didn't say anything. I let the silence do the work. I messed up," he said, "but I need help. I'm asking as your son." That word, son, didn't land like it used to. It felt like a word someone uses when they're desperate, when they want back in. "I gave you help," I said finally, over and over. "And you handed me my jacket and closed the door." His face twisted like he didn't expect me to bring that up again. "Do you want to come in?" I asked. He looked surprised. "Yeah, sure." I stood, walked to the door, opened it, then paused. "I'm just kidding," I said. "You're done here. Don't expect thanks." And I shut the door in his face. He stood there, didn't move, didn't knock. After a while, I saw his car pull out of the driveway and turn down the road. That was 8 months ago. Since then, I've been peaceful. I still visit Marla's grave. I still fix what needs fixing around the house. And sometimes I catch myself staring at the old photo of me and Danny fishing by Table Rock Lake, before the wedding, before the cold looks and fake smiles. I miss that boy, but I don't miss this man. Revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's slow. It's quiet. It's shutting a door and never opening it again, and making sure they feel it every time they knock.